everyone, welcome to our podcast, What's the Rant? And we are your hosts, Joydeep Banerjee and Shagota Roy Choudhury. I'm Joydeep Banerjee. I'm a software engineer by profession. And we also we have with us Shagota Roy Choudhury. Shagota, if you can introduce yourself quickly.
Yeah, hi, myself Shagota. So I'm also a software engineer by profession, working in an IT consulting organization. And I am a just curious guy who happens to have interest in lots of things. And today we are trying our luck with our third YouTube podcast. So wish us luck. Let's roll.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shagota. So if you're not introduced already to our podcast, our podcast was The Rant, is about topics, conversations, and dialogues around topical issues that shape, create, and break our reality, our society, and our world at large every day. And with this podcast, we hope that we'll be helping you to stay energized, motivated, and inspired to create a better future and better world for us. Okay, so that's What's the Rant. And for the episode 3, we have a very interesting topic today. And the topic is books in Metaverse. It's a very interesting topic. It's a very creative topic. It's not being done that much yet. So that way, it's a pretty novel topic. All right. So we'll try to dissect the topic and the idea and see how viable, how sustainable the idea is, both creative, from a creative aspect and also from a commercial aspect.
Are books at all available in Metaverse platform as of yet? I'm not sure about that.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. Even if it's available, it's not really popular.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not as viable or as successful as a business yet.
Yeah. I have never heard of any books getting released in the Metaverse platform as such. People play games and all sort of stuff, but never heard of them reading a book.
Yeah, I wonder why. Because the kind of things we will discuss today, I think a lot of things that can be done. And it's possible that it's not being done or the idea is not explored to its fullest extent.
Right. It has lots of potentials, I believe, which still not has been explored properly till date.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I think it's it lends to the fact that I think we haven't explored the idea why a person would at all want to read books in Metaverse, right?
Right.
Or more fundamentally, why would a person read a book, right? Why do we pick a book up and read it in the first place, right? Any ideas? So, why do you pick a book?
Yeah, there are lots of reasons, because if we look back at our history, so when people learn to write, so the first need of writing a book was to preserve the records of their own daily activities. So the earliest instances of books are basically records of the day-to-day activities and something like that, some rules, some regulations and all those stuffs. So it was more like a history. And as of when human civilization progressed, they tried to think that, okay, we can utilize books as our one media for enjoyment also.
Yeah. And then I think started the concept of fiction, right? Fiction writing.
Correct.
Yeah,
yes,
because
exactly.
fiction, I mean, reality can make you enjoy things, but fiction can actually help you live in the imaginary world, which is different from reality.
Of course.
And I think that's where the whole paradigm shifted.
Right.
So again, so why do we pick books, right? So why do you pick books when you say, okay, fine, this is a book, I see it, why will I pick it up? So why do you pick a book anyway?
I'll say that it's more to escape from our day-to-day monotonous work activity, our life, to get
Yeah,
some respite and bring some moments of joy and something like that.
exactly. See, yeah, that's exactly what comes up in most of the conversation, most of the surveys that were done
Yeah,
or have been done. Uh, it's about escaping reality. Most
yeah,
of the people pick up a book to escape reality.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I am not
and I
considering my
think,
childhood. I'm not considering my childhood where I was forced to pick up the books to learn something and pass the
yeah,
exam.
that that's the difference. So yeah, so study
Yeah,
books and fiction books or story books, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, you don't want to. That's reality. That's not escaping
Yes.
reality when you're
Right,
studying.
right.
So you want to escape that, and that's why storybooks, right?
Exactly
So
so.
yeah, so it's not always escaping reality, but if you're reading
Yeah,
a certain type of book, it's about escaping
yeah,
reality.
yeah.
So
True.
yeah, so studying books is about knowledge, acquiring knowledge.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
the other part is, I guess, when you want to learn something or acquire
Mm.
certain knowledge or certain skill, you pick up a
Yeah.
book. Right? So escaping reality, picking up a skill, learning something new, and also learning different perspectives, I guess. Right? So when you
Absolutely.
read a book, if you write a book today, you will
Yeah.
try to portray the world that you see, or
Yeah. Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
try a creation. You'll try to create something, a fictional world, say,
Mm.
that you think is something that you want to build for your readers, or
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
what you think, you might as
Yes.
well write it for your audience, so that they can also
Yeah. Visualize
uh,
it. Yeah.
exactly have a read into your mind, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
True.
think that's a key aspect as well. Anything else that comes up, that comes to your mind? Why we pick up a book?
Uh, I think you covered most of the points. I think it's like
Yeah,
escaping reality to have some joy of ecstasy and way to pass time. That's it.
yeah, and then why do we pick up, and why do you think we would love to live in a virtual world or in a metaverse? Is the universe in itself not enough for us? Why would we want to live in a virtual world? Is it like, again, escaping reality, or is it something else?
Oh, well, I do not own a metaverse device as of now, so I can't say my personal experience in this matter. But what I've seen uh, or visualized from people's experience in the internet, I saw that
Yeah,
the VR AR gives you a much more immersive experience,
exactly.
uh,
That's true.
differing from what we have uh, experienced till now by reading a
Mm-hmm.
book or seeing a movie in a laptop.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you a more immersive feeling, like you are totally submerged or consumed in that environment, totally
Yeah,
separated from your outside world.
true. So I think so that's mainly VR. So yeah, so I think one of the key points I think we should highlight here is, so most of the metaverse that we experience today um, is using VR or AR tools or apps, right?
Right.
Or any 3D games of sorts.
Hmm.
But metaverse can be much more than that. I mean, it's totally a virtual world outside of the real world, uh, which have its own economy, which have its own real estate, and own arts, culture, and everything. And
Yeah.
there should maybe not be, or maybe boundaries that we have in the real world, geographical boundaries. But
Yeah.
those things are yet to unravel. We do not know all those stuffs. But yeah, most of the metaverse that we experience now as
Hmm.
consumers, I think, are using VR and AR. And if you do not have sort of the hardware
Hmm.
uh, that you need to experience that, you're pretty much deprived of being in a metaverse,
Of course.
and that's
Sure.
the real constraint.
Hmm.
But in a way, when you're playing a 3D game, or you're transacting in a 3D game, so you're buying different assets in a 3D game, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's, in a way, not real world. It's a parallel economy, right?
Right.
So that is
Right.
in a way metaverse, I would think.
Right.
So have you purchased any goods in a game from any game for that matter? Doesn't have
Yeah,
to
I
be.
mean, when we play board games like Monopoly, we used to buy assets, purchase assets, and build
Hmm.
properties around the playing board. But
Yeah,
not in any digital world, of course. Yeah.
yeah. And that I mean, maybe our generation is not too attuned to this world, but Gen Z, who has uh, who have sort of grown up seeing this world and being in this world, I
Yeah.
think are more accustomed to this.
Correct.
But we will see this sort of gaining ground as we go. I mean,
Hmm.
people will start transacting more, having commerce, done more in a metaverse situation, in a metaverse environment,
Right. 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 Yeah.
right? And why do you think so? So we saw why do we use metaverse? So it's a parallel world. There are different opportunities there.
Yeah.
Um, we can build all the aspects, almost all the good aspects, at least that we have in the
Hmm.
real world, in the virtual world, in the metaverse, right?
Right.
So all the arts, um, culture, literature, um, commerce, everything can be sort of ported or have a version of all of these can be created
In
in the
the
metaverse.
metaverse
So
world. Yeah. Yeah.
that's yeah. So the opportunities are endless, I guess. We haven't
Yes.
explored, or a lot of it has not been unraveled yet.
Correct.
But we will soon see a lot of developments in that
Yeah. Yeah.
area.
True.
So that's metaverse.
Hmm.
So let's add. So if we try to tie this two together now, right? So the books and the metaverse concept, and so do you think the book that you read today,
Hmm.
say, um, say you are fond of Sherlock Holmes or James
Hmm.
Bond, right? You pick up
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes book and you read it, you feel a different sort of experience, right?
Yeah.
Would you love that same Sherlock Holmes book in metaverse? And what
It
are the
depends.
expectations of yours?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the expectation would differ from person to person. Me as a person would have some kind of outlook or approach or expectation from the content which I am being provided in the metaverse for a Sherlock Holmes story, which might differ from one of my friends uh, who prefers some other kind of experience. So when, like, if I am reading The Hound of Baskervilles, so I am kind of I will expect the kind of suspense which builds up in the story when the hound
Right.
approaches the victim. So that kind of, if AR can provide me that kind of build up setup inside the environment, the metaverse, then it would be a very engaging and
Yeah.
intriguing aspect.
So the backdrop, basically, right?
Yeah,
So or creating more vivid characters. So
correct.
so you're saying at this point, um, all the characters we have are based on the written words, right? So
Yes.
and it's left to you as a reader to imagine
Yeah. Yeah.
how the characters
Correct.
look like,
Yeah.
how the characters are dressed, how they behave, what's the personality,
Yeah.
uh,
That
and
is
all
the
that stuff,
beauty of reading a
everything
book.
around it.
Yeah, that is the beauty of reading a book. You can create a
That's the
world
beauty of reading a
of
book.
your own.
That's
Yeah.
true. And yeah, and so it's a very subjective and it's very private,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um, but you can also help. You can also, I think, you can also help the readers by creating a baseline, right? So,
Right.
like many writers do, right?
Hmm.
When they write a book, they create caricatures alongside, so
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
the idea sort of gets a baseline that,
Yes.
and from there they can build on. Like, okay,
Exactly.
fine, this is kind of the backdrop that writer has thought of.
Yeah. Yeah.
If this is a Sherlock Holmes plot, okay, fine, this is an English countryside,
Yeah.
and there's a gentleman who is wearing a red or a black coat.
Hmm.
He's having a black umbrella, and also all that good stuff, right? So,
Yes.
so you kind of have a baseline.
Yes.
That fine, okay, fine, and then on you can build your imagination. Also, so you're kind of doing a hand holding of the reader, and then letting the reader, create their own
Lead the
imaginations.
imagination flow free.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that would be, I think, a great avenue for the creators, for writers. Why else do you think, and what are the opportunities that creators have to express their creativity in a place like Metaverse?
As you said that in many of the stories or novels or literatures which we read, we see that there are some drawings or something like that being provided
Yeah,
at a gap of a few pages. So
exactly.
whatever environment you're building up in your mind while reading the book, it gets more emphasized when you see that drawing and see that, okay, I am resonating with what the author has imagined.
Yeah,
it can increase the engagement.
Exactly. That's true. And obviously we cannot go back in history. The authors were not alive anymore. We cannot. So the only way we can create those plots are, if we create our own, right? And then publicize it.
Yeah.
But that is not the author's creation. But that's the difference, right? So it's you as a third person creating the plot, which is not the author's, and it's so that might have a different acceptance versus the author's own backdrop, own creation, own portraying the whole landscape.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So then okay, fine. When the writer was writing this particular section, he had this sort of set up in his brain, in his head, and he was there or she was there.
Correct.
And I am taken to that place. Right. So I am here as well while I'm reading it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that would be a good immersion, I guess.
Absolutely. But again, that should not feel like we are watching a movie just which has been developed from a story. Like in the movie we can participate, but the experience in VR or AR in the metaverse as a whole should be more like interactive, where the reader should feel himself being present at the site of occurrence of an incident.
Exactly. It's like being a bystander to a crime scene, right?
Yeah.
And you see things unfolding.
Yeah.
And it's a different experience altogether.
Right.
So that's one. So vivid visualization and vivid portrayal of plots and characters. So that's a very big idea. I think the other idea could be, so from a consumer standpoint again. So if the books have additional materials to different sections, right, of a book, say you're reading a paragraph, and then certain additional reference materials are provided there with links or any other modality. You can refer to those materials. So say you're reading about some sort of a plot twist where the person you were thinking is the hero is just the opposite, right?
Correct.
People have their own opinions, feedbacks, and criticisms about it, and it might have an associated forum. The book might have an associated forum where people discuss about those things, right? And you can put links of those chats in the book itself, right? So that when the reader is reading the book, can refer to those chats and reviews and criticisms and all those stuff, and will create a wholesome idea.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You can also add or embed writers' comments, right? A video that will where the writer is sort of telling what he or she was thinking at that point
Exactly.
when she was
Yeah.
writing it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like when I was here, and this is what actually inspired me. I drew inspiration from here. This is what I saw when I was somewhere, or I saw this person from some time in my life, and that's this person actually is behind the this character, or this place is behind this plot or this place. Right. So those kind of, and if you add more to that, really
Absolutely. This is the kind of research I have done for a particular piece of story. If it's a detective story, that will be much more interesting for the reader to learn from. What's the backstory of the origin story of a particular character?
Origin story of the thing, exactly. Like we do, right? So when we watch a series, at least my wife and I do, and obviously you do as well. When we watch a series, say we watch a Marvel movie, right? And once we are done with the movie, once we have done watching the movie, we go to watch different Comic Cons on YouTube and see what the actor, or the producer, the director, or the scriptwriter have, told in those conferences, and try to gauge what is coming next, and so on, right? So the whole world of the fandom, right, can be explored, I guess, in Metaverse, where you can create a world where you create fans of the. Obviously, we have fans of books, but we can take that to a different level altogether.
Exactly. We can put some trivia. We can put some fan theories.
Exactly, and you can have associated fan. I mean, the limits are endless, right? So fan pages and all that stuff, fan videos. We can have YouTube links and all that stuff embedded or referenced after every chapter. Also,
if there is,
so that would be really
if there's a goof made by the author while writing a particular story, we can that can be put also, so that if a reader who while reading the story finds out the goof by himself, and then he goes and sees that meta link, and he feels ecstatic. This resonates with my reasoning. That will be very interesting experience for him.
So true. I think so there's so many possibilities here, and also from a creator's point of view, from a writer's point of view, right? I mean, yes, you can obviously earn money by selling your books, right? So you, if it's through a publication, then obviously you get the copyright, income and all that stuff, the money generated from the IP. Also, alongside, I think a lot of avenues that are not been explored in the books world, that are already pretty common in other sort of media. Right. So, like, in Metaverse, like we were discussing, if we can, if there is a way to create associated art, associated caricatures and all that stuff, they can be sold as NFTs in the Metaverse.
Of course,
Right. So that can be a huge source of income for the creator.
Right.
Or even the publishers. So if they those are the peripherals that can create a huge commercial opportunity for these businesses, and also the props. I mean, say a character, the kinds of clothes that character or all the characters are sort of wearing in the story, right? The not just the clothes, but even the props, like except for Harry Potter, the wand.
Correct.
And all these things. It could be a replica of a revolver of a detective, or it can be a replica of a car that James Bond
absolutely
would ride or would drive. So those things, I think, those can. I mean, they already happened, but they were more popularized by the movies than the books.
Exactly.
now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But this can be made. You don't have to be sort of relying. A book doesn't have to
Mm.
rely on a movie to be made
True.
on it to have this merchandising opportunities,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
right?
True.
And with metaverse, I guess it also gives the opportunity um, to indie creators, right? For the creators who do not want to go through a
Mhm.
publishing house
Yeah.
to publish their books,
True.
right? So if it's a free world in
Hmm.
metaverse, you just can go in and publish your book and make it available for your users.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
True.
say today, say um, you want to write a book,
Hmm.
right? Um, would you choose to create it in metaverse? And what are the things that you would love to do and you love to have for yourself as a writer in metaverse?
It all depends. I mean, so we are still not sure about how the content will be presented to the reader.
Right.
So, based on the subject of my book, which I'm going to write, the content has to be designed so that it becomes more engaging for the audience or the reader. So it should not
True.
feel like the audience is not getting any value add to the experience what he could already have by reading the book in a paperback format.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the paperback format has its own experience, obviously, um, and its own advantages. I mean, there are certain things that you cannot take away from paper book, right? Like you want
Right.
to hold the book and read. You want the
True.
smell of the
True.
book when you're reading
Exactly.
it,
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
those good stuff. So you cannot take that away. But there's certain obvious advantages that you can have from being in a digitized virtual world.
Hmm. But
So
I
to my
think
mind,
that, yeah, but I think not all kinds of books are appropriate for getting ported to the AR or VR platform.
right. So I mean, what kind of books do you think will actually be more sellable in the metaverse than otherwise?
For starting purpose, I believe, of course, the fictional ones, where fictional among the fictional ones, I'd say maybe science fiction, the fantasy
Hmm.
ones like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter
Right.
and Game of Thrones, this kind of movies, which has a lot of potential to create an virtual environment. So these are the ideal candidates for, I mean, at least at the beginning of this path.
Yeah. Very true. Um, okay. So
And also, till
mhm.
now, we are only discussing about uh, like books which
Yeah.
are prose in true sense, but we are not thinking about what how will we design a book in metaverse, which is a book of poem.
Poems.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I think, yeah. So, I think there can be opportunities there as well for the writers. I mean, to present their poems, right? So, one of the good things that Metaverse can do is you can hold virtual readings for the audience,
True.
for
Yes.
your
Yeah.
for your readers.
Hmm.
You can have a private sort of a meeting,
Hmm.
a very intimate meeting with some of your readers who can be your patrons as well, and then you
Correct.
can hold a private session with them where you read your poems, and they discuss about those poems, right? So that
Correct.
opens up a huge opportunity both for the audience, for the
Creator and the
experience, and
reader.
for the creators
Yeah.
as well.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be. It's like, if the creator is in some country,
Hmm.
say United States,
Yeah.
and the reader is in India, right?
True.
You're not restricted by boundaries, geographical area, geographical, location.
Yeah.
So you can hold reading sessions from anywhere. So that,
Yeah.
and it will feel like that you are with the reader or with the creator or with the
Exactly.
writer. So
Exactly.
that creates a huge opportunity. And also, if we can add peripherals again to those poems, like added arts and different other caricatures and whatnot, right? Depending on the kind of poem that has been written.
Right.
It also will add an experience that will sit on top of the poem's own experience, right? So it will build a better experience, right? I think those things. So if you have already listened to poems on YouTube, I think you would see they create and they use scenarios, different natural scenarios,
Right. Yeah.
to use as a backdrop of poems, right? Of poem recitals. So that's a great way of doing things, and you can also do that. So that creates a more sensual experience. Your sensory organs are much more immersed, or much more aroused in that setup. So those kind of, I think, really opens up avenues. I mean, if you can explore it well,
exactly,
only then there is opportunity. Otherwise, I don't think there is a lot of benefit in that. You have to sort of explore the features that a metaverse or a virtual world will add on top of what is already there.
True. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so can we talk about the constraints then? I think there are a lot of constraints now, and it's not obvious, for obvious reasons. It's not that popular.
Yeah.
Right. Adoption of metaverse itself is not that popular yet.
True.
I think one of the biggest reasons is the form factor, the hardware that is used to be in a metaverse or to get into a metaverse is quite expensive, right?
True.
So it's already at this point it's around $200, right? $200 to buy a metaverse or VR headset, because mostly you can experience metaverse through VR or AR, right? So and the learning curve is pretty steep as well. So it's not for everyone. It's you have to be have some technical savvy to actually experience that. So why did you why did you not buy the metaverse form factor yet yourself?
Maybe I did not find it tempting enough to let me pursue for buying a next device by spending so much money. I thought it would not allow. I mean, it did not give me much value add as an end consumer. After paying so much money, it's not much value add. That's why I'd say it's not much tempting for me to go for it. Unlike many other hardware, because I see that as long as I have my TV, my laptop, my phone, it's going good. I do not need any more device to have such kind of immersive experience.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a huge. So until unless these companies really make it, lucrative enough for the audience or for the content consumers.
Especially for the price-sensitive markets like India.
And the price, and the so the pricing has to be really affordable,
exactly,
for a normal buyer, right?
Yeah.
So there is this, because there is no not much adoption or not much. It's still a novel idea. There's not much being done in this space. It's very hard to come up with a market size, but we can roughly sort of discuss what kind of market size we can expect, right?
Right.
So more or less, United States, if you just consider United States, we have a book reading population of around 200 million, roughly.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And say if we sort of see the age ratio of the population, it's like 20% is less than 10 years of age, 10 to 20 is 20, 20 to 30 is again 20. So 20 to 40 is again 30%, and more 40 to 60 is 20%, and more than 60 is 10%. And if we only take...
you are talking about only fictional books, or I mean to say non-academic books.
Any books.
Any books, okay.
Any books, yeah. So be it fiction, non-fiction, for studies, not for studies, and all that.
Okay.
And if we sort of assume that this is the same distribution we will expect in a book reading population, the age ratio, that is, and if we consider only the age group of 10 to 60 as a primary age target, target age, sorry. We say that 70% is kind of the population that we'll be targeting of the whole book reading population.
Right.
Which brings it down to almost 140 million people, right?
Right.
And if we say that, okay, fine, 140 million people, fine, okay, 140 million people is the population that is between 10 to 60 years of age and who loves to read books, or book reading population. But not everybody will be as well off or will have the dispensable income to actually invest in the Metaverse hardware, or be as enthusiastic to actually get into Metaverse and do these things, right? They would rather pick up a paper book and read it. So thinking about from the affordability perspective, right? So if say you have enough dispensable income, say your household has an income of more than $100,000, which is around 55% of the population of US.
Okay.
Alone, right? So, but if we consider the book reading population, I would say that percentage will be more, because you're talking about a well-read, a literate set of people, right? So, but even if we consider 55, I will be more conservative, because a lot of people will not be just, even if you have money, you will not spend it on a Metaverse hardware. So, and considering that not everybody will be as enthusiastic, let's consider that 30% of people of this population will be as interested and will actually buy and read a book. So that brings it down to around 40 million, roughly conservatively, 40 million people in US again. And if we say that, okay, the books will cost around $20 or $25 or $30. And on top of that, if we have some additional $20 or $30 worth of prop buying or merchandise, purchase, then it comes to around roughly $50. Say $50. And if you read 3 books a year, so then that comes to $150 a year per person. Right? So we have 40 million people spending roughly around $150 per year. So that will take it to $6 billion. So that's kind of, and it's a very rough estimate. So $6 billion is kind of the market size that we can expect for books in Metaverse. And that too, it's mostly in the first 2 development or adoption cycles, right? So say in the next 6, 7, 8 years, right? So 2030, 2032 or so on. And I don't think we are too way off. maybe we have not considered a lot of things, but I don't think we are too way off, because recently a study came out where they estimated a market size of content, or rather, sorry, the estimated size of commerce in Metaverse is $1 trillion
Oh, wow,
by
that's great.
2025. We're not even 2030, 2025.
Yeah, that's huge.
So that's a lot of commerce that is expected in the next coming 2 or 3 years.
Correct.
So if we can, if this is explored properly, I think, right? This concept of books in Metaverse, it can be made a sustainable business. A lot of money can be made out of it, because
of course,
at the end of the day, it's a way to entertain people, right? And people like to be entertained.
Of course, yeah.
Any take
But
on
again,
it?
another aspect remains, like you bring in some customers, they get, like, they buy the form factors, the hardwares. They initially buy 2 or 3 books, but after that, how much is the sustainability rate, or I would say the customer retention percentage of these books in Metaverse? That's the one point to be considered. People might lose
Yes.
interest in the long go if they're not provided contents which are consistently,
So that's a huge point. And so if you are buying a form factor, you would expect a lot of other things.
True.
Than books, right? So you're not buying a headset because you want to read books. You want other stuff to be done with it as well. You want to watch movies. You want to play games and all that stuff, right? Your other experiences you want to use it for. So we cannot, if we cannot tie a user to a form factor. Now, it can be so that because the form factor, the hardware is too intrusive at this point and restrictive, because it's a huge headset that you have to wear and to move around. It's quite restrictive because once you're in the metaverse or you are using the VR headset, you cannot move around, because you have to use a boundary and be there, because otherwise it will not work. So and it's not always possible to have a headset always on for 4 hours together, right? That's not
it's kind of a health hazard also, I believe. Like putting on the glasses for a long period of time, it might cause some impact on your eyes.
Exactly. So I mean, that brings to us, I think, the last section of our podcast, which is the obvious constraints that will actually hamper the growth of this idea, right? Which is the form factor and the kind of development or the advancement that we are, or the slowness or the sluggishness of the advancement we are seeing in this in this hardware space, right? The metaverse hardware space. It's still quite a few years out before we see a form factor that can be easily be worn or carried on, or people will not feel as restricted. So until that happens, I don't think the adoption will pick up.
True.
So it's kind of dependent on that, and that's a sad thing, because unless the whole experience is kind of bound to it.
Yes.
Right? So that's a weird thing. The companies can come up with their own hardware, but that is, again, coming back to your point. If you're buying hardware that is tied or locked to a specific experience only,
correct,
your ROI is not that much. So
absolutely,
consumers, other than some enthusiasts,
exactly,
be averse to try that out. Good. Okay. True. Anything else that you want to sort of point out or bring up?
No, I think that's it. We have covered almost all the points. It was a good discussion.
Yeah,
And
it
there are
was really
many,
good
many,
discussion.
many more topics. There are more points there. Maybe people will come up with lots of ideas once they see our videos. And
And that's the idea.
that's the idea. Yes.
That's the idea. So yes, so this is all we have today, and we really hope that you enjoyed it. And please feel free to drop your comments in the chat section. We'd love to hear about your ideas and thoughts on this. If you think that we projected some numbers that are completely off base, please feel free to let us know.
Sure.
We'd love to hear it. We'd love to
Yeah,
know
yeah.
what you think about this, because this is a completely a very, very novel idea. So yeah, we'd love to know your thoughts. With that, thank you so much for listening to us. Please stay tuned. We'll try to bring in more such topics to you. With that, please feel free to share, subscribe, and like our content if you like it. And we'll be back soon. Thank you so much. Au revoir.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Cheers.